Hello from the Rumble Seat. This is Kiefer Milligan, bringing you an FTRS film breakdown. I've been recently trying to put into motion a revival of the FTRS YouTube channel, and this is going to be one of my projects. I'm going to be looking at different players, be them recruits or players that are looking into the NFL draft, or returning players like Antonio Simmons, who we're going to look at today, and just kind of looking at their play, looking at assessing their strengths and weaknesses in a video format. Before, I used to do my film breakdowns by creating GIFs of games and writing articles, but I've always really kind of preferred this format of me just watching the film and breaking it down for you as I go. So hopefully you like it. We'll see. This will be a bit of a test run for me. This will be the first one I'm making. So let me know questions, comments, and any suggestions. Let me know in the comments, and let's get right into it. So this is the Miami game. This is a really good game for Antonio Simmons, to be honest. He wasn't a starter in this game, but he did log significant minutes. Ended up being a 4-minute video, and he got a lot of pressure. He got a lot of pressure on Brad Kaaya and really disrupted the offense a good amount. Now, Miami still won the game and scored a decent amount of points, but as you really see, a lot of the big plays and scoring plays that Miami had really weren't on Antonio Simmons' watch. So what we really want to look at here is Antonio Simmons' strengths, his weaknesses, and how that kind of led to an early season surge in production and pressure, and how it kind of led to him tailing off towards the end, and to where he didn't really put up the sack numbers I thought he was going to put up at the mid-season of this year. But I think this, after watching this video, I think it really kind of shows it's a microcosm, if you will, of his entire season in terms of what he did well and what he didn't do well. Miami's a pretty talented team. They have a very talented set of backs, but I will say that their offensive tackles in this game were pretty bad. So I'll go ahead and start the video. For some reason, in this play only, the person who made this draft cut up points at Keyshawn Freeman instead of Antonio Simmons, but Antonio Simmons is up here at the top. So that's what we're going to watch. And this is going to be a play action pass where they fake a lead play. The fullback is going to lead through the hole right at Antonio Simmons, but Kaaya is going to end up pulling the ball and trying to complete a pass. And you can see he actually does a really good job here in terms of, he's reading run right here, which is the read, because this is a play action pass. But he's getting into the chest of the defender, and he's the low man here, and he is winning the leverage battle on the offensive tackle that is way too high. He's squeezing the edge and doing a very good job run defending, which our edge defending on the run was awful in this game. You look down here at Keyshawn Freeman, there's a huge hole. So it's a pretty positive play overall for Antonio there. And then moving on to the next play, it's a bootleg, and Antonio Simmons gets a little bit drawn in here. You'll see that he comes in, he's following. This time they fake a lead play the outside with a zone blocking concept, and Kaaya is going to bootleg back this way. You'll see, and Antonio Simmons bites. He bites pretty hard coming down on Walton here, but he eventually recovers and is able to close pretty quickly. This is just a drop. I don't really know what was going on there. That should have easily been a completion for at least 4 yards, but I'll take it. All right, so one of the things you want to look at when you're studying specifically a defensive end is how fast is he getting off the ball? How quick is that first step, and how quick is his first step in comparison to the other 3 guys on his defensive line? What I saw throughout this entire video is Antonio Simmons' first step is just ridiculous. He's an undersized defensive end for sure, but his first step was really putting the offensive tackles for Miami in this game off balance. They really struggled. Then they were overcompensating quite a bit to try to make up for that speed disadvantage they had getting to the edge. And if you look at off the snap, if you pause it right here, you can see he's ahead of everyone else. And this isn't even that great of an example. There are other examples where he is absolutely way off the ball before the rest of the defensive line for the Jackets. and he still is able to make a speed move inside, and honestly, and beat the offensive tackle. Now, we can talk about potential holding there, but at the end of the day, his inside move didn't quite work there. All right, looking again, he's actually getting off the ball about the same as everyone else on this one, but we'll take a look at how he engages the offensive tackle. So he's going to try to use his speed to get around the edge here. Now the offensive tackle has his hands on him here. He's getting chipped by I think it's Gus Edwards, the running back. And he's not being able to push through this Miami offensive tackle, which is one of Simmons' big weaknesses that I've seen, is strength. He is not able to overpower these much larger offensive tackles to get to the quarterback. But he does shed this block very well. So, and that leads to a bad throw. Now there's roughing the passer penalty here on Desmond Branch, who definitely hits him late, but that ends up being a big problem because that was third down, I believe. But here's a better angle, and this is a really good angle to look at how a defensive lineman is pass rushing. You'll see here he's set up, and he gets off the ball, and he's already got a pretty big advantage out ahead of the kick slide of the right tackle, and he ends up trying to bend this corner here, but he's not able to do it because he gets caught up and isn't able to push through. It's a good job by the offensive tackle to recover there, but Simmons is able to shed and get inside to force the pressure. Now this is something I think that doesn't show up in the stats so much. The college game does not look at hurries, pressures, and hits like the NFL does. They only look at sacks. But this is still an effective and positive play for a defensive end like Antonio Simmons. It is affecting the quarterback and causing an incompletion and causing a stop for the defense. But it's plays like this where Simmons wasn't quite able to finish the play for a sack really hurt his sack numbers on the year, in my opinion. And he didn't have many. I can't think of the number off the top of my head. I know Keyshawn Freeman only had like a half a sack on the year, which was startling to me. But there in this game and in a bunch of other games, there were a bunch of close calls where the quarterback either got rid of the ball very quickly or they weren't quite able to get to the quarterback before they released the ball on a completion. So, yeah, you can't do that, Desmond. All right. This play, we're actually going to skip because I don't want to watch it again. It was just bad defense. All right, here's a good play that shows his get off here. So we're going to pause right after the snap, and you can see he's ahead of everyone. He's specifically very much ahead of the defensive tackles as expected, but he's also ahead of Keyshawn down here. You can see he's about a half yard ahead, and the ball is just getting to the quarterback's hands. Now they don't end up blocking him here. It's a good play by Kyle Sturgeon right there, but because they're running away from him. But it's a good play to demonstrate exactly how quickly he can get off the ball and how that can be disruptive. This is another one. This is probably one of my favorite ones. You can see, if you look at where he is here, he is so far ahead of even Keyshawn on the other side, and he's causing this. You can see this offensive tackle here is just kind of setting back. Well, they got two tight ends in, so that does affect the play. But he's really stressing this offensive tackle who's taking a huge kick slide out to make sure that he can even touch Simmons before he bends the edge. But he's able to wash him back. And this is something I want to talk about with Antonio Simmons as to why he is not getting the sack numbers you would think of someone who can get off the ball that quickly and stress the offensive tackle that much. If we go back to the beginning of the play, There's something here I want to talk about actually called speed to power, converting speed to power. If you follow the NFL draft, that's kind of a buzzword term that you'll just hear all the time. Converting speed to power. And Simmons definitely has the speed, but can he convert it to power? And that's something he fails to do on this play, and he fails to do quite frequently, that I think really hurts his ability to finish the play for sacks. As you can see, he gets off the ball quickly, and he's, see here, right here. Let me go back. Right here, he's got this guy beat. He's past his shoulder. He's got him beat, and the quarterback has not stepped up in the pocket yet. This should be a sack. But what Simmons needs to do is bend this corner by forcing his way, using a pass rush move such as a rip, to get through, not just past, the offensive tackle and to the quarterback before he can step up in the pocket. Now, he has an advantage on the offensive tackle already. He's past him. He's got the speed advantage on him. The offensive tackle is off balance as a result. But he doesn't take advantage of the situation to physically engage the offensive tackle to bend that corner. Now, you got to use pass rush moves such as the rip or the rip and dip or some kind of spin move to counter inside. But he does neither, and ends up getting washed out of the play, as you can see here. And as a result, they actually almost get the first down. They don't, so it ends up being okay. But that is a play that definitely could have been easily been a sack. He's not too involved in this one. Now I think this play here is a good example. So I want to talk about that again. So talking about converting speed to power and bending the edge, and using your speed advantage over the offensive tackle to be able to go through him, even though he's bigger and stronger than you. So Simmons is gonna be the first man up the field again. He's beating out everyone else on the defensive line, getting upfield, and the offensive tackle knows this. He's stressing. He's trying to compensate here, and the offensive tackle fails to properly keep shuffling out with Simmons here, and as a result, he gets around him. This is another example. This should also be a sack. Simmons has dipped under the offensive tackle and has gotten his arm in. It's kind of hard to see, but he is doing a rip move. You can see right here, he's lifting the offensive tackle's arm so that he can't push on Simmons. And he's also displaying pretty good bend here to really use his legs and his lower body strength to force himself back towards the quarterback. But you can't really see it here, and as you can see, he's not quite able to do it. He's not quite able to bend all the way, that corner all the way inside. It's a bit of a strength issue. Simmons is only 230 pounds, so he's going up against guys that are 310 pound offensive tackles. There's a definite strength disadvantage. But a lot of it too has to do with technique. He really needs to get his hands into the chest of the blocker earlier, and so he can execute his moves and get to the quarterback. And that's pretty typical. All right. Next play here is a run play. This is a pretty interesting play too. He pops up way too high here and ends up getting pushed back initially by the tight end Herndon right here, but he is able to shed him very quickly, which is exceptional, and then pursue the play. He's able to knife through here through the pulling offensive lineman, and then Corey Griffin does a great job here of getting the initial hit, and then he cleans up the play. That's excellent recovery. He should have not got knocked back initially, which is another, especially from a tight end. If you're a defensive end in the ACC, you should not be getting knocked back by tight ends on solo blocks. That's not up to the level of play that you would expect from the strongest football conference in the country right now. But he does recover and pursue the play, and shows his exceptional speed and ability to really pursue. All right, so another pass rushing play here, and this is another very good play where he shows off his speed. Now this is going to be a pure speed rush. He's going to use you. Let's really look at the offensive tackle here. The offensive tackle at this point knows that Simmons is getting off the ball quickly and has a lot of speed. So he's struggled with that all game. He's really oversetting, and you see he's just got a huge gap between his feet here. He has no leverage, and he has no ability to quickly get back inside. So Simmons just jukes him and makes him look silly. Swats his hands away. That's good technique, to swat the hands away so they can't get into the chest. And then he just comes after Kaya. And the fact that Kaya gets this ball out and that's not a sack is just another, it's robbery. It's another robbery off the stat sheet. But if you want to look at this again, there's another thing I want to talk about here. And it's something that I think with coaching I've seen a bit too much with our defensive ends. He uses a pure speed move here, which ends up working just fine. But what I'd really like to see from both of our defensive ends is an effective counter move. They're both pretty speedy, and they can both get up the field quick enough to really stress offensive tackles, but they don't have a counter move. So either they're going to juke inside like he does on this play, or they're going to try to continue to get upfield and get around, which they haven't had a whole lot of success doing. I'd like to see them do something where they engage the offensive tackle like they are going to come around this corner here, and then execute some kind of counter move, like a spin move or something of that nature. And when the offensive tackle beats you out here, good pass rushers will commonly try to spin back inside and get into this gap. Kind of like what Simmons does, except he's not engaging and faking coming out here and then spinning back. I think that would be a deadly move for Simmons to be able to have, because he does stress the offensive tackle so much in trying to block him that he could really get some great opportunities getting a quick spin move back inside and getting a fast track straight at the quarterback. That way he doesn't have to commit to either doing this juke move that he does here or trying to get around the edge as he does on most plays. He can make that decision based on what the offensive tackle gives him. And having a plan for your pass rush and having an ability to go to a counter move when your initial move fails is the hallmark of all great pass rushers. If you look at the great prospects and the great pass rushers who have played in the NFL, it's not that they just have great plans for getting to the quarterback from the start or one great move. They have an elite move, and then they also have something that they go to when that elite move fails or is countered by something the offense or that player they're going up against is doing. Something I'd really like to see in Simmons' senior year and Keyshawn Freeman's senior year is the development of a counter move to go with that primary move that they use so frequently. All right. Now here's another angle. It's a very good angle. He just doesn't even try to engage into the chest because the offensive tackle gives him way too much. Uses his hands. Go back 5 seconds real quick. He'll use his hands here. Watch his hands. So the tackle's going to try to lean back in and get on him. And uses his hands, swat the hands down. That is an essential move for defensive linemen. You've got to swat the offensive lineman's hands away from you because they're almost always going to be bigger and stronger than you. And then he's in the face. And up the middle pressure, quarterbacks hate nothing more than up the middle pressure. QB hit, but doesn't show up on the college stat sheet. All right, getting around the corner here, he almost disrupts this play. That's excellent. Excellent. It just shows his athleticism and ability to get around that edge. All right, so we're looking at a three-man front here for a 3rd and 33 play. Oh, this is a great play. It's a three-man rush, and Antonio Simmons is actually able to get pressure. And you'll look and you'll see that Miami here, I believe, puts 7 in to protect. Yeah, this is a max protect 7, and we rush 3, and we still get pressure. Now the running back does leak out after initially faking. Oh man, that's close too. We almost got that. Yeah, so he just uses again that inside move. The other time the offensive tackle knows that he has help out inside, So he is going to overset outside, and he's going to be vulnerable to that move back inside. And it does look like Simmons is kind of reading him here, and when he oversets, he comes into this hole, and the guard really should have closed that. This is not as much on the tackle as it is on the guard, though I think they both used poor technique. But he's able to break through without actually having to touch anyone. That's again, he's got great speed, and he can get past guys and slip in like that, but he's got to develop his pass rush when he has an offensive lineman with his hands on him. And I think that's something that really hurt him in the second half of the season. So 3rd and 33, and that's roughly how many yards a Ted Roof defense needs to actually cause a 4th down. All right. Next play. Run play. We haven't seen too many of these. He's actually getting double teamed here and holding up decently against it. Sheds the block well, but he's just too high, which leads to him getting pushed off the ball a little bit. He needs to stay lower against that double team. And that's kind of a lot of guys that have very good, quick first steps will often pop up too fast and get blocked like that. There's a little bit of a pass rush mindset there, and that is often a concern with those types of players. It's another zone run away from him. It's well defended, but yeah, Simmons wasn't too involved in that one. Ooh, interesting. So this is another bootleg where they're trying to fake this. This is a Mark Richt special. He loves play action. He always has, and he'll run this type of bootleg play action off this zone run. The tight end is kind of trying to wash Simmons inside here and prevent him from coming back on this bootleg. But he does, and then the tight end is going to go out and be a target. But Simmons is able to recover a bit. And instead of going to the quarterback, he makes a smart move. He knows he's not going to get there without leaving his tight end wide open. So he comes back to him. And, Kagawa, this is Kagawa running, screaming down here. And he does a great job of recognizing that and attacking the quarterback to force. He actually hits his hand. That's, so he forces an incompletion that way. So that was good play recognition on his part. Yeah, this is not a good play here. So run play we're looking at, and he's going to end up getting single blocked by a tight end and washed out of the play. He needs to guard this edge here against the cutback, and he's just totally out of position. And it's a good thing that Walton didn't bounce that out for further, because I think there were more yards on that outside, and that's something that Simmons needs to work on. Strength. He's got the speed. He needs to work on the strength and the technique to overpower bigger, stronger athletes. Oh, good, because I wanted to look at Jim Harbaugh. He does a better job this time. That's a much better job of getting down the line and scraping down the line. All right, let's take a closer look at this one. Yeah, so another it's a lead play, and he does a good job of scraping down the line and holding up against the tight end. He's using his hands here. See, he's getting his hands into the chest of the defender, and he's effectively pushing him off to keep him from so he can shed right here. So once he's got his hands in the chest, he can push off and shed that block, scrape down the line, and make the tackle, which is good because Gamble's getting completely blocked out of the play here. Unfortunately, it is not enough, as Miami's going to convert this play here and then kneel it out. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching. I enjoyed making this video and watching Antonio Simmons and seeing what he has in store for next year. Just leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think, suggestions, what you'd like to see in terms of content. Until then, this is Kiefer signing off.